Hello, and welcome to Somewhat Damaged. Don't worry, you're in the right place. I'm still your host, Greg Alperin, and while the name may have changed, the unhinged and unfiltered comedy stays the same. Sit back, relax, and listen to the hot and fresh new episode. Buckle up.
Oh yeah, spark that split, baby.
Well, thanks for having me,
Dude,
guys.
Frank, thanks for fucking being on.
How are you?
Good.
So today, by the way, is the first day that marijuana is legal for personal consumption and use in Connecticut, recreationally.
Oh, really?
Yep.
That's amazing.
Big
Are you
day.
in Connecticut?
Yeah, I'm in Connecticut. John's in the city. But yeah, it just passed. Like, he just signed the bill into law like 2 weeks ago, and today it's now recreationally legal. I mean, you can't buy it yet. Like, you can't buy it. There's no dispensaries until next year, but you can possess and all the stuff that comes with it. So, pretty big day in Connecticut.
Great. Yeah, man, everyone's been getting fucking lit.
Yeah. One of my favorites was we were outside the club when weed became legal, and I was outside with Sherrod Small, and two cops, were fucking walking by, and they never walk by on the Upper West Side, and they just walk up and they just go, "Smells good," and we're just like, "You're still cops."
Yeah. Still cops.
Yeah, get the fuck out of here.
It's funny because part of Connecticut's law, when they signed the bill into law, it not held up, but one of the contingencies was they were going to expunge all the convictions from 2000 to 2015 for anyone with a marijuana, whatever charge, and completely not expunged, just like wiped clean, like doesn't exist. So
they can vote.
Yeah. And it's actually, the way this law is written, and, I'm not a lawyer or anything. I just, read all the articles. Anyone that was caught up in that has a charge, was convicted or anything, gets like to the top of the line for the licenses to open up dispensaries and stuff.
Great.
Oh, then the equity program. That's what that's what they're kind of trying to do to, like, hey, sorry for locking up all the people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
I think it's a good thing, and hopefully it does well. Like, in theory, it will. But that's kind of like when they talk about like reparations and shit. That's kind of like one of the ideas they're floating is like, listen, we ain't got to like give everybody fucking money, but we can, like, give people that have been fucking charged with bullshit top of the list when it comes to licenses and shit. And
right.
Like,
But the thing about it is, like, how expensive are these licenses going to be? Because, I mean, like, New Jersey,
millions of dollars.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There was this great piece on Vice that I was watching about a man in New York that specifically doesn't want marijuana legalized because he knows that it's just going to be monopolized by.
It already is.
By white. Yeah. Just by
3% of all dispensary owners are white, or are all black.
Yeah.
So 3% of dispensary owners are black, and I think it's like fucking like 89. I'm fucking some crazy percentage of like majority of black people still in jail for marijuana offenses.
It's so ridiculous. I mean, we'll see.
Crazy.
I mean, the fact that like it becomes a novelty, like Chuck Schumer was like, "Happy 420" from your minority leader. I was like, "Get the fuck out of here, dude!"
Yeah, 100%. You see like yoga moms drinking like CBD drinks and shit, walking around. I'm like, my cousin went to jail. Like, that's great.
Yeah, like it's so. I don't know. I'm getting angry now. I'm sorry. I want to calm down a little bit.
I just
Go ahead.
Just a quick question. So what, obviously out here, the CBD has been like a huge craze the last couple of years, right? Like, stores popping up that are dispensaries for CBD, selling flower, gummies, edibles, everything, right? And not just the gas station places, like cool dispensaries. What do you think happens once, like, you can go into a dispensary and buy full THC marijuana?
So a lot of those shops that do that, they're mostly just buying the storefront,
right?
Getting in place now. So when things like Connecticut become legal, they can easily transition that shop into a full THC, or they sell it to a brand or they sell it to another company because they're like, hey, you're a brand that's looking for a storefront.
Right.
It's crazy. I have the licensing, I have the permits, I have everything. Give me $2 million.
I mean, I'm in LA a lot, but I don't pay that much attention to it. Probably all this shit. But are there just full on CBD stores in LA? Does that exist?
There are, and those are usually near the tourist spots. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because you're like, and that's why like most dispensaries near the tourist hotspots are more expensive. So
Right.
if you're like from fucking someplace that's not legal to go buy weed, you come here and you're like, $90 for the best eighth I've ever smoked? Absolutely. You know what I mean? Like the guy that smoked weed, you're like, I don't want to pay fucking taxes on that. That's crazy. Yeah. You could go to my boy for like $40, and then also still get good weed. What's crazy now is there's a thing called the gray market that's popping up,
right?
Which is, it's like you'll have people that are legal, right, like compliant. They'll grow weed. They'll pop a bunch of bags to like look for the new strain that they're gonna grow.
Right.
But they'll have all this weed, so they'll like give it to people, which is legal, or they'll sell it on the side. So you'll be like a guy walking around with like dope weed that hasn't been out yet, but it's totally fine because legally people are allowed to gift people weed.
Right.
Is that because I saw that Jam in the Van? They're running those shows out in LA, and it's like everybody gets like free weed, and I'm like, how does that fucking happen? But then I remembered that there was this lemonade, there was an iced tea place in DC that they would deliver iced tea to you, and they would gift you a bag of marijuana. It was like $45 iced tea, but they would gift you that.
Yeah. So most private, this is what the thing that I've been looking, because I want to do a comedy tour, and comedy clubs are great, but I like smoking weed in the shows that I do. It's kind of, I like that kind of vibe. So
sure.
You got to find, it's most venues can't sell alcohol and do weed shit.
Right.
So you got to find, unless it's like a private lounge or like a private venue where you're doing your own thing. That's kind of like the only ways you can really do stuff. Yeah. Or if it's like IOB or whatever.
So your idea is to actually be on stage and the crowd's lighting up J's.
Yeah, because like I wouldn't mind that. It's kind of fun. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like if you go to like an audience where it's like all stoners and they're just doing dabs, sometimes they get too blasted and it's not fun. But if you're just like, hey, we have a show, you can drink beer, you can smoke weed if you want, that's fine. And then it becomes like a regular show. It's kind of more mixed. You know what I mean? Not everyone's like fucking super blasted, but if they want to be, can be if they want.
Yeah.
Where do you do that show? What kind of rooftop is that show at?
Well, we've done it at a few, like this place called The Cabin in Hormosa, and then there's the Vault Dispensary that does like a weed friendly show.
Right.
Oh shit. Yeah.
There's venues all across town. You just kind of got to find them. Yeah, Colorado, there's a few clubs that are like, yeah, you can smoke weed in here. We don't give a fuck. Yeah.
There was a spot in Mid City when I was out in LA. We were trying to run shows. There was a dispensary, and there was this guy named Red Rabbit or something like that. But he had this like art studio downstairs. But in the back was this fucking of the dispensary was like the smoking lounge, and I'm like, this would be super dope to fucking do a show at.
Yeah, I've done weed shows, and those are fun. Then I've done like regular shows with comedy clubs, and I was like, my own tour was like, this is kind of what I want. This is what I want. Very fun. And this is kind of like my audience, you know?
Right.
Well,
Here's the thing, though. I mean, Frank, if we want to kind of go back, I mean, like, listen, your biggest, and listen, and I apologize, but what I know you from, obviously, is roasting one of my boys in the championship with Broussard.
Yeah.
Where he fucking fumbles over his stupid joke. But like Frank, I mean, like, listen, what's been the trajectory like from doing the belly room and doing roast battle, and then now kind of, I mean, you were just at the store last night, right?
Yeah.
Or a couple nights ago.
Yeah, I mean, 2 spots a week now there. It's fucking
insane. Dude, sick. Because everybody moved to Austin, right?
Yeah, dude, after the pandemic, they sent me my spot. I was like, 10:15? Are you fucking kidding me? All right. Like, I worked there. I was a door guy. I fucking, I worked with the booker. I did fucking made all the lineups. I fucking helped, do all that shit. I had to call fucking headliners and shit. That's how I met everybody. Fucking the talent coordinator passed a person that was a friend of mine, but he called me to get their number, and I was like devastated one day. You know what I mean?
Fuck.
Bullshit, you know. But so like roast battles, yeah. I mean, it's great. It's the best thing that's ever happened to me. And I always like, because it's now I think it's like it's biggest special spot in my heart, but it's almost the least interesting thing that I've done.
Sure.
It's the craziest thing to me. But yeah, it's all just been great. I've truly lived the career that I've wanted. You know, there's a lot of like, you know, things that happen with like just being in the industry, and you're just like, you know, what the fuck? But then in the end, every time that's always happened, something better's always happened. You know what I mean?
Right.
When did you start working at the store? How long has it been?
I was at 25 when I started there. So I worked there for 6 years, and then the pandemic happened, and that's what kind of made me quit.
Right.
Because they furloughed us all, and then they all asked us back. And then when they asked us back, I was like, I can't go back. I just can't. Like,
yeah.
I was like, if this is like, God killed 500,000 people for me to like be like, okay, this is my moment to like, you know.
Yeah, Frank. God killed 500,000 people just so you can realize, hey, I want you to do a tour where you're smoking fucking pot all over the fucking United States.
Yeah, you know what I mean? You know.
Wait, right? It was in the Comedy Store documentary, right? Isn't there the part where Adam like comes up to you like during a shift and is like, you know, you're now a regular?
Yeah, so that I was in like 3 episodes of the Comedy Store Showtime doc. They featured, it was, trust me, it was fucking dope. And then so I'd gotten past like a year before, and then they had me reenact the getting past with Adam.
I was gonna ask you that.
It was like it was great, but they were also like, hey, can you reenact the biggest moment of your life when you cried like a fucking child? And I was because that's what happened. You know what I mean? Because it was like. So like, you know, when I was getting passed, he watches you for like when Adam passed us, he watched us for like 5 weeks, right? And I was very lucky because I was in this weird space of like still working at the store, but also doing the dopest shit on the weekends. So it was like this I was talking about, it's like being Harry Potter, you know what I mean? Like working at the store, it was very much like, you know, it was like fucking staying with the fucking or not the Weasleys, but staying with the fucking like regular.
Yeah, the guy. Yeah.
But then on the weekends, I'd be featuring for like, you know, Mo Amer, fucking, I got to go on the road with Chappelle. I got to fucking go out with Joe. Like I would get to be doing these dope things. But then like on fucking Mondays and Tuesdays, I was taking out the trash and fucking checking shit. You know, just feeling fucking bitter as fuck about my position, but also like not really understanding that I was in the best position ever and that I shouldn't have been complaining. But you know, when you're seeing it so close, you just fucking don't ever pay attention to shit like that, you know?
Right.
But when I got passed, he was watching us for 5 weeks. I was literally going on the road every weekend featuring, I was coming off like a few weekends with Mo Amer, and then I was also going with Pauly Shore. I was opening up for him there. And then, so when he was watching us for the showcase, it was on Potluck. So I would literally get off these weekends doing like so much time, and then I would just kill these 5-minute sets, but I was just rotating my jokes and stuff.
Yeah.
And finally, when he watched me, he was just kind of like, he was like, I got to pass it, you know, because there'd been talks about me getting passed for a little bit, you know, like 2 years before that was Roast Battle. They had talked about getting me passed there, but my whole thought process was like, I don't want you to pass me because I won a thing.
Right.
I want you to pass me because I'm a good comic.
Sure.
And at that time, I had like 15 minutes maybe. And like everyone was like, you need a headline, you need to do this. And I was like, I don't want to fuck that up. You know what I mean?
Right. Wow. That's fucking humble as fuck, dude.
Bro, I'm in this shit for the long run, bro. I'm not fucking, you know what I mean? I ain't fucking trying to get 1 million followers on TikTok and sell out Thursdays. You know what I mean? Like, it's not, that's not, you know what I mean? That's not my life.
Did you do those arena shows with Joe? Were those the shows?
Theaters. I didn't do the arenas. The theaters. Right. And thank God, because the fucking, bro. The jump from club to theaters, man, that shit is intense. But it was great, man. It was fun. But it also made it was like, I was like, oh, so this is what the future looks like. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna need to fucking like hit this punching bag a lot.
Yeah.
And then
is there a feeling that when you did theaters though, like, cause like you're making, because I went to see Chappelle up in Foxwoods a couple weeks ago. It was nice, but there was something about like Cypher was featuring, Cypher opened, and then it was Donnell, and then, but I'm hearing Cypher do jokes that I've heard in New York. I've heard, you know, he did our Idaho Comedy Festival, and it felt bigger laughs because you got 200 people laughing, but it's still 4,000. You know, it seats 4,000. But like, it seems like jokes hit harder in theaters. Is that the feeling that you get?
It was the best way I explained it was someone told me they're like, it's like you're performing your jokes. You know what I mean? Like you're really like showing them the thing that you've crafted, right? And then for me it's kind of like it's like being in the batting cages, but you can't see where the ball lands. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you know, you can see the ball hit, you can see it coming to you, you can hit it, and then but it's just like you gotta wait and then feel for the and I was like, oh, okay. It was definitely, you know, clubs, they're on top of you. You know what I mean? Yeah. You can get away with a lot more. But yeah, it was definitely like, oh shit, okay, this is different.
Are you still doing roast battle? Are you still doing that?
I'm not roast battling anymore. Once I won, I was kind of like, I don't really ever have to do this again.
Yeah.
And I wanted to focus on stand up, and I did. I just did stand up a lot. I'll still judge. Occasionally I'll do it. Like it takes a lot for me to really want to do it. Like
right.
I'll write for roasts all day.
Sure.
A YouTuber paid me to like write roasts for his, like they did like a roast thing. I got to write on that. That was dope. You know, I have fun talking shit to people, but like I don't know, it takes a lot for me to get like into a ring for roast battle. Like,
yeah.
My wife hates it. She fucking hates it. She hates how I get. They just started doing the roast battles at the store where they do the mint stuff. And,
yeah.
They're paying people now, like pretty well. And one of the comics was like, "We should do it again. We should do our old one. You can just do our old jokes." And I was like, "I can't. My wife will fucking kill me." She straight up was like, "I'll pay you to not do it. I don't want that stress." Like,
what about your mom? Is she still coming?
Dude, my mom is fucking. She like will call me and be like, she's got 2 kids. You know what I mean? She's got my siblings. They're like teenagers now, and she's like, "Can I just come up and like hang out with you?" And I'm like, "Can't just have my mom walking around with me at the comedy club. Like I can, it'll be fine, but it's also just like." See, the thing is, like most parents, they bring their parents around and they're just like, "Oh, that's someone's parents."
Right.
Parents come around, they're like, "Oh, is that Frank's brother and sister? Because they're fucking cool." You know what I mean? It's like an older vibe, like an older sibling vibe. Because like my dad will do shots, he'll drink, he fucking talks. He's like a man's man. You know what I mean? Right. My mom, just a party animal. She fucking like, she'll know where all the people selling coke are. You know what I mean? Like, she's not like that anymore. But she used to get down back in the day. So it's weird when people realize my parents are cooler than I am.
It happens every once in a while, you know. It definitely humbles you.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
when your friends want to hang out with your parents. I went through that for a while with my parents, more so my dad. But whatever. So, but like obviously the roast battle gave you like the big TV experience, right? Mm-hmm. And like to everyone. Does that like how do you look at that now?
I look at it like it's very interesting because you know. I got the best TV debut I think anyone could have ever had. And I had a few managers tell me that. And I never understood it until I started. Like, whenever I meet someone from the industry, the first thing they always say is, like, I watched you win that thing. And I'm like, oh, fuck, that's crazy. So that's just a good baseline to have wherever you go.
Sure.
And then, you know, I focused on the store. Like, I focused on staying there and working, becoming a paid regular. A lot of people tried to get writing jobs, and they did. I have friends that are, you know, we know a lot of the guys from the roast battle that got writing jobs. I don't know if they're exactly the happiest. They definitely have a lot more money, and you know, that was one of the things that someone told me. They're like, prioritize happiness. Stand-up's always been my shit. I love it. I'll do that for the rest of my life. It doesn't matter if I make money or not. Like, I just love it.
What's your wife think?
She's a psychologist with a master's degree. Yeah,
God damn it.
Yeah, that it is up there.
Like, as long as you take out the trash, fuck it. Whatever you want to do.
Go to your little comedy club.
Yeah. Your fucking comedy money's nice. All right. Well, okay, your funny money. You know?
Your funny money.
She knew me when I was first starting to do stand-up, and then I helped her get through college. You know what I mean? When I won roast battle, I won a bunch of money.
Right.
So like, I'll take care of rent for like the next year. Just focus on college. She quit her job, and then she got her master's, and then now she's like got an insane dope job.
Great.
To the point where she was like, yeah, man, you can quit the store, focus on what you need to focus on. And then now I'm making money in weed and shit. So now we're both making good money, but she's making way more money than I am. And I'm making the money she used to make. So now we're just both in a better plot.
It's great.
But anyways, so comedy stuff. We were talking about roast battle. All right. So I focused on the stand-up. That's what I want to do. That was all that was it for me. And then the roast battle was like, it was great, but that led to just, you know, eyes from Rogan, eyes from all these comics. And that was the biggest. I used to think JFL was what it was. I used to think all these things were what it was. And then after Jeff Singer got caught fucking being a douchebag.
I'm not gonna lie. I am so happy to laugh about that right now. I never liked the dude.
It was one of those things of like, you know, and I hate to be like the fucking, I hate to be like those fucking white women.
Do it.
But, you know, I'm from Eastside San Jose. You know what I mean? I come from a poor community, all that bullshit. Check those boxes. So when you kill something so big, and then you got like Rogan that puts you on, and then all these people that are talking about you, but then you don't get JFL or like you get passed up on all these writing assignments, like that shit fucks with you. Yeah. So for like a year or two, that shit fucked with me hard, and I'm like, I'm killing it. Why isn't anyone noticing? You know? And then it made me, once I saw that Jeff Singer shit, it made me realize, I was like, oh, these motherfuckers don't know shit. Because that guy watched me win roast battle. So it's like, if that guy watched me destroy, still I'm not good enough to get on his JFL Fresh Faces, then it's like, well, fuck it. Joe thinks I'm hilarious. Yeah. All these other comics respect me.
It's funny. I get it, man. The idea of, and even me being a gatekeeper, like I always have said, I'm an unlikely gatekeeper. It's very tough for me to kind of like, you know, like I just sent somebody sent me a text this morning, was like, hey, I want to introduce you to somebody. She's super funny. She doesn't have any credits. And I'm like, I don't have the room. And I genuinely feel bad about it to do these things. But it is nice to see people getting bounced down a couple steps, these gatekeepers. Yeah. Just because you don't get into Colbert or you don't get your late night, like, who are they? Do you know what I mean? Funny is funny, and you fucking are making it, dude. Yeah. It's fucking awesome.
And it gets to the point where it's like, you know, and I'm experiencing that too in Los Angeles, you know, all the comics that book shows or just people that book shows that are like, I love the art. I love this dude because he's funny. You see it in their lineups and you see it in the shows, so the shows do well. There's guys that, you know, run hot shows in LA right now.
Supernova, sorry.
And it's one of those things that, like, I used to be a door guy when he would run those shows at the store. And he was never tossing me spots. He was never tossing other door guy spots. He was never really trying. So now that he's out of there and then, like, I'm doing better, that guy still ain't going to book me. You know what I mean? Yeah. And even if he did, I don't ever want to be in a position where that guy gets to decide whether or not I'm funny enough to be on his stage. Because I know that guy hasn't written a new 5 minutes in fucking 10 years. You know what I mean? Like,
I love it.
Sometimes you don't have to appease these people. You know what I mean?
What do you think now about, you know, obviously the pandemic and all that shit, but now the explosion of all these new shows in town, right? Like outdoor shows, backyard shows, you know, I mean, there was always some of that.
I think it's so great. I think it needs to happen.
Yeah.
Because the longest time before the pandemic, a lot of it was pay to play. Like I would go to San Francisco, all list open mics and shit. And I love that, you know, and I'll still go to open mics. I still love that shit. So, you know, when I come to LA and it's all pay to play, it bugs the shit out of me. It's different if it's a guy like me where I'm like, I've got, you know, money and I need to run through this time. I'll pay for it and I'll just run through the jokes because I know what I'm getting out of it. But if you're a young comic, you're paying $200, $300 a fucking month to do stand-up all the time.
God damn.
And then you get up in front of the talent coordinator at the store and you eat a fucking dick and you're like, I don't understand. I paid all this money for so much confidence. And it's like, yeah, that's what you did. You paid money for confidence. You didn't pay money for getting better at comedy. You know what I mean? Right. Like, you got to go do those bullshit stuff. And I think the outside shows are great because those guys need comics. They need to book funny comics. They need to book fucking people to fill spots. So that's how people get better and then grow. You know what I mean? Like, I can understand someone being unfunny for a couple years. I always give people 2-5 years. You know what I mean? But if you've been in this as long as I have, and I know a few people, and they're still like faking the funk and doing everything but writing, you know what I mean? They end up where they end up.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, but what I haven't seen come around, and maybe you can add. I mean, Greg and I are out in LA next week, and we definitely want. Let's meet up, Frank. But dude, what about shows like Good Heroin and Venice Underground? Like those were two shows that I loved going to. Are those still kicking around?
I don't know if they're kicking around anymore. But I mean, if they come back, that'd be great. I never did Good Heroin. Venice Underground was fucking amazing. I brought my dad to that show. He's a big bar fly. He loves bars. He loves like underground cool spots. So when he saw it, he was like, dude, he loved it. So that's a story he tells wherever we go. He was like,
we got to ask Bronson just to redo it soon.
He needs to. That was such a fire show.
You're listening to another episode of the Somewhat Damaged Podcast, part of the Storic Media Podcast Network, and brought to you by Corona Premier, now available on Draft. So, John, maybe you haven't seen it, but Frank's Twitter backdrop is Seth Simons blocked me, right? So I'm also blocked by him, and I think it's the funniest thing ever.
I am not blocked by Seth
John
Simons.
Is not blocked by him, and
because he likes fighting with me.
It's crazy.
I should have gotten more back and forth with that guy because I'm convinced he's a white supremacist. There's something I've always argued, and I think fucking Malcolm X said this shit. It was just like, people's queerness is not a band-aid for their whiteness. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
absolutely it does.
So it's just kind of like, hey man, you're not like uplifting anybody, because if you were, you would have talked about like me, Derek, half these fucking door guys, or just half these young comics that are blowing up that are from whatever the fuck communities, you know what I mean? Your marginalized communities that he preaches so much about.
Right.
It was like, no man, you're just a dude that's like attacking comics. And mind you, I get it. There's a lot of people who some comedy's not for everybody. And I get that, some audiences are fucking not nice and they're mean and all blah, 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 blah. I get that. That's fine. You can make that argument all day. But the idea that it's like, to the extent that he's taking it, I'm like, dude, get the fuck out of here. That's crazy.
Yeah.
You know what
I mean, listen, I've been the highlight of some of his pieces, some of his tweets. My club has been. I had a realization for a little bit. There was a little bit of me that as a minority and Asian, and the only Asian booker in New York City, that some of the comics he talked about, I was like, he has some point. There are sometimes that there are some things that are done off stage that I'm like, why would you do that? But none of those times have any of those comics done that on stage. They know where they are. They know what they're club comics. They know what they can and can't do over there. I also personal friends with some of these guys as well. And I say personal friends, but I've been to their houses and things like that, and we've had conversations. But what bothers me now is that Seth is at this point where, again, everything he's saying, and I actually had the realization with Chappelle while watching Chappelle. And Greg, you're going to get very uncomfortable for a second. But essentially, Dave said, he goes, listen, I'm not just hitting gay people. I'm not hitting transgender. I'm not hitting cops. At the core most, I'm hitting white people. Do you know what I mean? And like and that's what bothers me about Seth is that like I don't need you championing for me. Do you know what I mean? At all.
I say this to my wife all the time because a lot of her friends are very liberal and LGBTQ, and I made a joke and one of them was very upset at me, and then I was just kind of like, I was like, I'm attacking white privilege. I was like, that's what I'm attacking.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things like, it's also the concept of white. You know what I mean? Like how Patrice O'Neill said it, where it was like, there's white guys that I've known my whole life that are down and they understand what I'm talking about. And then there's people who are just like, nah, And it's just very interesting to see that and to see like, especially like I 100% feel with that whole like Seth Simons and the white thing. Cause all it reads to me is this fear. Like I tell my wife, I'd rather deal with racist people because their whole thing is like, oh, I think I'm better than you because of my skin. And it's like, well, I can prove you wrong on that, on all the things. But I can't prove someone wrong who thinks they know what's in my best interest.
Sure.
That gets people fucking killed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Fucking, religious people have murdered so many people with that thinking. So it's just so funny to me to see him think that, and it's kind of like,
But it is interesting that, like you take somebody like Alex Jones on the right side of things that will have the clickbait and say, hey, click here to subscribe. He's doing it on the way far left, and it kind of makes. And listen, I'm not gonna knock the game. Do you know what I mean? I mean, he's hustling for money.
Some people are rocking the game. Some people just want to write jokes and get funnier. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
It's everyone's got to hustle.
And at the end of the day, I've always said he does not affect my draw, my bottom line, or anything. So why even bother?
He's just a loud voice, and that's the crazy thing is, he's just a loud voice. And but also I'm just one of those guys where it's like, I'm gonna shout too. I'm fucking crazy. I've got, my wife makes all the money. I'm doing nothing right now. I'm not even wearing pants in this podcast.
None of us are.
Yeah. It's just so fucking ridiculous. Like, you can't cancel people that want to buy tickets.
Yeah.
That's like what I see with all the stuff. I don't know if you guys saw all the tweets right now with white women in LA. It's really just two. Complaining about the Hollywood Improv.
No.
No.
So Jen Kirkman and Valerie Tosi complaining because the Hollywood Improv didn't book any females this weekend, right? Fine, you can make that, but their whole thing was like, it was like, men need to speak out and all these things, and it's just one of the things that makes me laugh because I'm like, hey, ladies, like, you live in Los Angeles. I'm usually the only Mexican on any of these lineups. You're like, what are you talking about? She got to feel what it's like to be a Mexican comic in Los Angeles, except you're gonna get booked the next weekend. You know what I mean? Like, and I was like, I looked at the thing. I was like, yeah, you've got spots coming up. Like, what do you like? It's just a crazy thing to complain about.
Yeah. It is. That's nuts. I mean, the idea of diversity is. Listen, I try very hard to make sure that all lineups are diverse, but there's sometimes that you get a drop, and all of a sudden it's an all male lineup. Or
dude, I've worked in the clubs with. You know what I mean? So I get it when like they're like, no one's available. I'm like, yeah, man, none of the funny women were available this weekend because they're all fucking booked.
Yeah.
They can't stop getting booked. You know what I mean? The unfunny ones are the ones still in LA. And we don't want to put them on. You know what I mean? Like, we would rather put 4 black dudes on than 1 mediocre white chick.
Yeah.
So
let's name some names. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, let's just say
I'm not just
few of them got Conan before I did, so maybe they should
go hunt down that list of performers.
But yeah, it's funny because I don't know. I just think of like, I used to complain a lot when I was starting a little bit, but it was always what all those white bookers used to tell me, and it was like, be undeniable.
Yeah.
That's what I had to do for when I got passed, man, because Adam passed Tim Dillon, Laura Bites, Miss Pat, and then me, and I was a door guy. Usually only passes 3. They don't have to pass 4.
Right.
So the fact that I fucking smashed so hard that it made him be like, I have to pass this kid, that's like, that just shows what you have to do to get places.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good crew to get passed with. I mean, come on.
Well, here's the funny thing, and Greg started to jump in, but like, Tim Dillon is not passed at the Comedy Cellar. So to see Tim over there, and listen, I'm not a big fan of Tim's comedy, to be honest, but I get why he's bookable, and that he has those kind of things. There are some comics that sometimes you just have to put everything aside and be like, is this what's best for the audience? Because ultimately, we all work for the audience.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Sorry, Greg.
That was fine. I'm just like, do you think Adam's job's gotten now much harder since a lot of people have left LA?
Oh, he's not the booker anymore.
He's not?
No, he moved to Austin. He's booking Rogan's new club.
Yeah.
Oh, he is? Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, how do you like that?
It's Emily LaFord at the Comedy Store.
So I'll edit this part out. Do you think Emily's job has gotten much harder since Adam went to Austin and all these comics have left LA?
I don't think it's gotten harder. I'm excited because I think she's finally going to be able to grow as a talent.
Right.
Be able to make dope decisions.
Right.
A lot of these women are a lot of white women are going to complain about not getting booked, but it's like, yo, a majority of the women booking clubs right now in Los Angeles are white women.
Right.
So if you're a chick and you can't get booked, that's not on me.
Yeah,
or
right.
them. That is purely on them.
Right.
So it's like, this is the best time to be a white woman. All you got to do is be funny.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know?
The be funny part's the hard part.
And it's always been the hard part.
Yeah.
It's always been the hard. It's been the hard part for everybody. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because the white women that are funny get booked. Laura Bites is fucking slammed with dates right now. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
she is hysterical. Like, she's
Jessica
so good.
Simpson, fucking super. Lisa Traeger. You know what I mean? Like these fucking. Yeah, come on, man.
Yeah.
So it makes me laugh so much.
I got a question though. There's the store got a little bit of heat. Well, not heat, but there's a lot of bashing about the store, saying it's a big, it's all about celebrity over there.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? I mean, because you're coming out of it, and no offense, Frank, you're not a celebrity.
100%. 100%. And that's why, like, anyone that talks shit about the store only does so because they didn't get in or they just don't know anything about it. It's the easiest place to talk shit on.
Yeah.
You know, because if you were there watching the lineups, like, I'll pull a lineup right now. People are like, it's a celebrity hangout. It's like, well, I mean, maybe. You know, celebrities do pop in because we got dope clubs.
Yeah.
It's like the biggest. All right, so we had Jesus Trejo, Adam Ray, Eric Griffin, Mark Maron, Donnell Rawlings, Fahim Anwar, Brad Williams, Ross Traeger, Brian Simpson, Eleanor Kerrigan, Frank Castillo. Mainstream stars, probably Donnell Rawlings and Mark Maron. And I'm talking like TV, right?
Sure.
Like if you're a
You
comedy
got somebody's got some Disney money on that lineup.
if you're a comedy fan, you know who all those people are, right? But if you're a comedy fan and you're like, I'm gonna buy tickets, you're like, oh, I've heard of Mark Maron, I've heard, you know, no disrespect to any of the comics on the lineup,
Right.
but we're just talking like, you know,
No, of course.
so people like, yeah, there's celebrities, but also like, bro, there's door guys going up. You know what I mean? There's like, you look at the live from the Belly Room shows, like Emily has like full on 8 to 10 people that are not in the development system. Like she's going through people, she's combing. There's people that I've never seen getting looks, and that's great. You know,
yeah.
Anyone that's shitting on the store has just never been there. You know, Dalee is not getting booked there. You know what I mean? Like, it's people that shit on it are like, well, there's plenty of other places you could be shitting on. You know?
Sure. So, I'm curious because I don't know if it was your bio or somewhere I saw that you enjoy tacos, burritos, hash browns, and ketchup. So I understand the first three, like I get those,
hash
right?
Brown, ketchup?
Hash browns and ketchup together?
Yeah.
Oh, I read that as separate items.
Hash browns and ketchup?
Yeah.
What'd you think browns was?
No, hash browns, comma, and then ketchup. Like,
you thought I was just straight eating ketchup?
Yes. I was like, he enjoys ketchup that much?
Oh, actually, that is not too far from the truth. I am a very, like, if you watch me eat a hamburger, you're like, is that ketchup on every bite? And I'm like, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so wait, we're definitely going to get to the tacos and burritos part. But speaking of hamburgers with ketchup, how do you eat a hot dog? Like, what do you put on a hot dog?
Oh, all right. If we're doing chili dog, it's everything. So that's like onions, chili, cheese,
Yep.
ketchup, maybe no, not ketchup or mustard, maybe mustard. And if it's a regular hot dog, ketchup, mustard. But dudes, I like all those specialty dogs. I'll go fucking all out.
Right.
Sure.
Kingston, they fucking put pastrami and shit.
Yeah. So you're a ketchup and mustard on a hot dog guy.
Yeah, if that's the only condiments they have, yeah.
Right. Interesting.
New York dog, you're gonna go for ketchup and mustard. Onions are free.
New York dog? No.
Yeah, New
York dog.
Okay.
They got like a lot more shit.
Okay, so because kraut and onions are usually free, so I'll do kraut, onions, and I won't do ketchup on a dog. I don't know, like
I can't do ketchup.
Yeah,
on
I can't.
You guys have like Mexican hot dogs?
No.
Or it's like bacon wrapped, jalapenos, like bell peppers, onions.
Oh
cheese.
shit, no.
Then you do
no.
So they'll do mayo, ketchup, and mustard.
Huh.
Yeah.
What?
It's like a fajita plate. It's pretty dope.
Oh shit! All right. Well, we're out in LA next week. We want to know a bunch. But what is top taco place in LA right now?
Oh shit! Someone just told me about a new place. I haven't been there yet, but it's apparently called like. It's like
you see how excited Greg and I both got? It's like okay.
It's like world famous. It's like something world famous tacos. They do like 150 different kinds of tacos.
What?
That's a lot of tacos.
Now, I was looking at specifically, everybody's telling me to go to, excuse me 1 second here.
Frank, what part of town do you live in?
Hollywood. I live in West Hollywood.
West Hollywood.
Okay. This is called Tacos Iberia La Unica.
That is actually good. I think Fury took me there, Stephen Fury.
Did he? Okay, so, all right, we're going to check this spot out. So we're kind of like on this, like, I mean, we always...
Oh, Worldwide Tacos. It's called Worldwide Tacos.
Worldwide Tacos. All right.
Write that down.
Yes, I am right now.
So where's your go-to? Like, what's your go-to place in like where you live in the area?
There's a spot by my house called Tacos El Gavilan. It's pretty good. It's kind of like a taco cart, but if they had like a storefront.
Right.
So it's like kind of, old school. And then they have there's a hole in the wall spot that I love called Los Tacos. It is like my grandmother opened up a taco spot. She
really
looks like her. She calls me Mijo. She calls me she calls me my wife Mija. She's like, bro, she knows her name. She's like, knows exactly what we want to order. She's like, you're a sweet fucking lady, man. Every time my grandma passed away recently, so like I've just been going there a lot. And my wife's like, bro, dude, calm down. I was like, the rice is the closest to my grandma's rice.
Really?
Anyone's.
Where is it?
It's off of Santa Monica, and I think Crescent Heights.
Okay, I know exactly.
I mean, I'm looking at this Worldwide Taco place. First of all, this website, and you can't see it, but it is very nominal. I mean, this might as well be an Angel Fire site.
It is like, it's like if they had it's like if they had the whichever grandkids, the only one that spoke English, design a website. They're non-English speaking grandparents like that.
You ever go to those old school like Mexican restaurants like Casa Vega or Pancho's in Manhattan Beach?
Well, Pancho's is a great show. Have you done that, Frank?
Pancho's is great. There's a little taco right up from Pancho's that like they do wet burritos. Oh.
Yeah. On Rosecrans, right? The one on Rosecrans, yeah.
What is a wet burrito?
You know what a wet burrito is?
No.
Where they cover in enchilada sauce and cheese.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
And it's all hot. Yeah, it's a wet burrito. It's great.
Have you done that Pancho show on Mondays? Right? It's Mondays.
I've only gone because I know I could get a burrito afterwards.
Not because Dano is such a great host.
Great host? Is that his name?
Dano Carter.
I know his name. I saw him the other night. Great host, great show. Fucking, I go for the stage time, stay for the burritos.
Yeah, I love Pancho's. That's the other part of town I stay in when I'm there, and I stay across the street at the Seaview, the hotel, that place across the street. And I mean, there's been weeks I've only eaten in Pancho's. I'm going
to be there on Monday. I'm there Monday, actually, for the show.
So funny. I'm sure if you ask him, you're going to be like, what do you think of Frank Castillo? He'd probably tell you about how every interaction we had at that show was me going, hey, when am I up? Cool, I'm going to go get some food. And then,
you know what my favorite dish there is, actually? They have the best mole of any place I've been to.
I'm not a big mole fan, only because I've had such bad mole a few times. And I've had good mole like twice, and I'm like, okay, I'm into this.
Yeah, the Pancho's is great. And then Casa Vega is interesting because, that place was, obviously a fun hangout just to go hang out at Casa Vega. But, 2 years ago, they got closed down because of like the rats in the kitchen and all the crap that they found in the kitchen of that place. And that was like the running joke forever, that it was like the dirtiest like gross place to go.
And it's always the best places.
I loved it. I mean, it was such a great, fun spot to eat.
Frank, I want to kind of pivot a little bit if we could.
Oh, let's pivot, dog.
Back to comedy. You said something that kind of resonated a little bit. You said that people getting off of roast battle and then getting writing jobs and being miserable. I have seen that more and more lately than ever. All right. Personally, we just had Mike Lawrence on a couple of weeks ago, and Mike was talking about how he's kind of like not doing stand-up, and all he's doing is writing. I mean, And I hear these horror stories. Like I always watch like Connor McSpadden. Like if he was like writing for like the iHeartMedia, he'll be like, "This is what I ate today," because all I've been doing is writing. Sarah Tiana's about to write on some stuff right there, and she's like, "I got to get all my reps in before I have to go in this writing gig." How much like do you love stand up that much that you would say no to like NBC money to like?
Yeah. I was in the running for the not the Black Woman sketch show, the show they had before that, the Robin Thede run.
Oh yeah.
I was I got the whole fucking Zoom meeting and everything, and they were just like, it's a 24-hour job, blah 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 blah, and I was like, so no stand up at all? They're like, yeah, you can't do any stand up, and I was like, if I'm gonna move to New York and I'm not gonna be able to do stand up, I can't do it. I was like, because I'm bad when it comes to homework. I was a terrible, you know what I mean? Like stand up's the only thing I love. And I remember I texted Rogan about it. I was like, hey, comedy knockout too. I was in the running for that job, and then they offered me like not a lot of money, and they were just like, you got to move to New York, all this stuff. And I remember talking to Rogan about it. I was like, should I take this job? It's good money. And he was like, nah, man, just stay, do stand up. And then like, I think Bert hit me up about going on the road with him for like months right after that offer happened. And my wife even at the time was like, don't take a writing job because you feel the need to take care of us. You know what I mean? She was like, keep the store job, just focus on stand up, and there have been a few moments where we both looked at each other like, was that the dumb mistake? I haven't gotten a writing job yet. I still haven't even gotten in the roast writers rooms. Like I've never been in a roast writers room.
Wow.
But I've submitted tons of jokes and they've gotten on and used by everybody.
Right.
So once that kind of happened, it was like, I was like, I don't know if I want this. And then Jerron Horton made a good point. He said this, I was talking about, complaining about, not getting a writing job. And he goes, that's the difference between you and me, man. He goes, you think of it as a job. He goes, you're a stand-up. He goes, I love writing. He's like, it's not a job to me. He's like, it's something I can do all day. And I'm like, oh, you're right. It would feel like a job. And that's kind of what kind of boiled it down to me. And I ghostwrite for a lot of people. I write for a weed advertising agency now, and I make like fucking great money.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not a lot of hours a week. And I get to do whatever I want. And once that kind of happened, it kind of gave me this like confidence where I was like, oh, I don't need to fucking do this rat race. Prioritizing happiness is the most important thing.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
Next week. And I can easily just go to Chicago for a week and just do fucking shows. So it's like, that's what I've always wanted.
Right. What, John, I mean, we've been talking about food, so do your food bit.
I guess so. I mean, Frank, we always ask, what was the best thing you ate this week?
This week?
Mm-hmm.
I had a fucking meatball sub that blew my fucking mind.
Where? Where? In LA?
Yeah, my wife ordered it off DoorDash. It was just, the meatballs were fucking great. The sauce was dope. It was a really good amount of cheese. I don't know if these were cucumbers or peas or whatever the fuck, but they were fucking crunchy and delicious.
Oh, a little spice to them as well. The pepperoncinis. Oh, those are great. Oh, sorry. This guy's trying to run away.
Oh, the mascot.
So that was the best thing you've eaten all week. I mean, is there a favorite food? I mean, listen, you're touring with like Rogan
all the time.
Okay, so
burritos. I lied. I'm big into Philly cheesesteak sandwiches. I love fucking cheesesteak. Pizza, calzones. Like when I travel, I've fucking eaten all the time.
Okay. Have you had the actual Philly sandwich, which is not the cheesesteak technically?
No, I have not.
It is an Italian. It's Italian roast pork and broccoli rabe and provolone on a sandwich with the au jus. And that is actually the original Philly. You can get a lot of it. Where is it? Tony Luke's is pretty good for one, but there's a couple of great spots. If you're ever out in New York, we're going to do a food tour with you, bro.
I'll bring the weed.
So speaking of cheesesteaks, and I think, John, we have to do this next week. Have you been to the Smokehouse in Burbank?
No.
That place has one of the all-time great steak sandwiches.
Sweet.
Right? It's like a full, like New York strip steak on cheesy garlic bread with fried onions. And I think they do like a horseradish sauce. Like if you, oh my God, it'll blow your mind. It's a phenomenal steak sandwich.
Hell yeah.
Definitely check that out when you're next time you're at Warner Brothers Studios.
Dude, Frank, thanks so much for fucking hanging out with us, dude. Appreciate
My
it, man.
pleasure. This was a blast.